Good evening, everyone. This is the December Town Board meeting of the Town of Pompey. It's December 7th, Monday night. Due to start at 6:30, we've had a little bit of technical difficulties. So Facebook people are going to have to get over to Zoom, hopefully, with a message that Veronica is posting for us. We are holding this meeting virtually due to the ongoing COVID public emergency and pursuant to the governor's executive order allowing us to relax our standards for meetings that include public bodies or public participation, that allows us to hold them remotely by conference call or other similar method, as long as the public can view or listen to the proceedings in real time, and that the proceedings are recorded, transcribed, and posted at a later date. So we are holding this meeting by Zoom, and we would normally live stream it on Facebook, but there has been some change that we can't figure out at the moment, so that's not happening tonight. But this meeting is being recorded, and it will be available on our website along with the written meeting minutes, excuse me. So in attendance tonight, if you would just wave when I acknowledge you, is Judy McElhennon, Town Councilor, Ann Christmas, Town Councilor, Tom Chartrand, Town Accountant, Bookkeeper, Carl Dennis, Town Councilor, Tim Frateschi, Attorney for the Town, Tom Purcell, Highway Superintendent, Nikki Reed, Town Clerk. We're waiting for Bob Rodriguez to Zoom in, which should be momentarily. We also have two guests, Dave Knapp, our county legislator. For those of you who don't recognize him with the beard, that is Dave, he just waved. And Amanda Mazzoni, who's going to be doing a presentation tonight from the CNY Regional Planning and Development Board. So welcome to the two of you. Absent is Sheila Larkin, who had a work commitment and cannot be here tonight. So with that said, if we could all stand, well, I guess not stand for those of you, but I'm going to turn the my screen to and say if we could all say the Pledge of Allegiance. I know it doesn't come off great together, but let's try. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the
United States of America and
to the republic
for which it stands one nation under indivisible with liberty and justice
for all. Okay. So paste back on here. Does everybody have a copy of the agenda in front of them? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So first up tonight, and before I start, Veronica, can I just check with you? Is John Shaheen a participant? Is he on there? If you can tell.
Yes. And
okay.
He is raising his hand. Wait.
He would like to be unmuted during Amanda's presentation to the extent that he might be of use. So okay. I want to introduce Amanda Mazzoni. She is the senior planner, as I said, with the CNY Regional Planning and Development Board. She is here tonight to do a presentation on LED lighting. The town is actually exploring it as part of our clean energy community efforts. And we've gotten to the point where we've had our national grid bills assessed. And Amanda has done, put together a plan, a proposal for the town to consider. And Tom Chartrand, did you get, okay, I want to make sure you saw it because I wanted our bookkeeper, our accountant, to be able to weigh in on the cost issue. But Amanda also is a new mom and has a baby, so so I hear. So congratulations, and that's why she's going first, so she can put her baby to bed. So
congrats.
Yeah, and I apologize if you end up hearing him in the background.
Okay.
Nothing I can do about that.
Babies are okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you, and I know Veronica, if you are welcome to, like, or John, I don't see you, but I know that you want to participate at some point, be at the end of Amanda's presentation. I'm not sure, but go ahead, Amanda.
Thank you. Is it okay if I share my screen? I'm not
Yeah.
sure about, okay. Didn't know, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so I'm just gonna share my PowerPoint. Can everybody see it at this point?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so again, just a brief introduction of myself. I am a senior planner at the Central New York Regional Planning and Development Board. Just in case anybody is not familiar with who we are a public agency that was founded over 50 years ago by our 5 member counties, which includes Cayuga, Cortland, Madison, Onondaga, and Oswego. And we work with each of the municipalities within those 5 counties on various development issues. I work in the energy management program, so that's how I'm here tonight talking about the benefits of LED streetlights. Just briefly, a quick introduction, and I know these slides are a little text heavy, but it's just in case anybody's not able to attend and wants to just look at the slides later, I can share them. But so the Regional Planning Board recognized a need a couple years back, actually it was in about 2016, that a lot of municipalities were interested in converting their streetlights to LEDs. And it is a little bit more complicated than you might think because most communities' streetlights are owned by the utility. So you have to kind of work through their process in order to work through the conversion. So we created our CNY Bright Lights initiative to assist municipalities in looking into what options are available and helping to walk through the process, since again, it is a little bit more difficult than you may think. We are funded by NYSERDA, the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, through their Clean Energy Communities program, which Renee mentioned earlier. So I assume you all are aware. And I know that you did pass the benchmarking resolution as a board last month. So that's a great first step. So the Clean Energy Communities program, as you're probably aware, provides grants and technical assistance to communities that work through NYSERDA's list of high impact clean energy actions. And converting to LED streetlights is one of those actions. I do just want to briefly mention that there's a new version of this program that is to be coming out any day now. It was supposed to have come out by now, but there were some unforeseen circumstances, so things have been a little bit delayed. But it will be coming out very shortly, and I'll keep you posted on that. But expect a good amount of grant opportunities to come with this new version of the program. So continuing to pursue some of the actions like LED streetlights is a good indication that you're interested in the next version of the program. The Regional Planning and Development Board serves as the Central New York coordinator of this program. So that's how we're able to provide this assistance free to municipalities. Just quickly, why LED streetlights? You can see a before and after photo in the bottom of this slide. This was in the village of East Syracuse, who also, they went through National Grid's utility-owned LED streetlight program, which is what I'm going to be discussing in just a moment. But LEDs they use less energy and last a lot longer. So basically what that amounts to is reduced costs to the town and reduced greenhouse gas emissions. You can also see in the photo that the before lights are a little bit yellow-orange. That's probably what you're used to seeing. The LEDs are a whiter, brighter light. So you need a lower wattage in order to get a similar visibility from that same light. So that's how you're able to use a lot less energy, is that you need a lower wattage with LEDs than through the traditional high pressure sodium lights. In case you're wondering who in Central New York has already converted to LED streetlights, You can see a lot of your neighbors have this. These yellow and orange are communities that have already converted to LED streetlights. The yellow is through the utilities conversion program, and the orange is through a municipally owned version of the LED streetlight conversion pathway, which I can just briefly touch on because I know that's not what the town is considering up to this point, but just so that you're aware of it, I do want to just briefly mention it. But you can see that you'd be in good company if you did convert to LED streetlights. So if you are interested, I would recommend driving to some of these nearby communities and taking a look at what the lights actually look like in person. Because it will look different again from those orangey yellow high pressure sodium lights that you currently have. I'm just going to quickly go through this for your reference. The utility LED streetlight conversion program is where National Grid will continue to own and maintain the town's streetlights, just like they do now. They will offer you the option to convert to LEDs. You get to choose which wattages you would like out of their option of 4 different LED wattages. They only have one color option, so you don't really get a choice as far as how white or yellow you would like that LED light to be. But it will look like that picture that I showed you from East Syracuse or those neighboring communities that you may be driving through. Benefits to this option are that the utility does buy the LEDs and converts for you and continues to maintain your streetlights. It's a quicker, less expensive and easier option all around. That's why the majority of communities in Central New York have gone with this option. Whereas the other option, the municipal purchase, is where the town would actually buy your streetlights from the utility. You would then be responsible for owning and maintaining them, which often means a third-party contract, either with a local electrician or sometimes communities work with turnkey groups like NYPA, the New York Power Authority, or another energy service company who will provide you with maintenance services. But the benefit to this option is that you can save a lot on maintenance if you work with a third party. That is a good chunk of your National Grid bill on streetlights. There's the portion of the bill that goes towards the energy and the portion of the bill that they call the facility fees, which basically is the maintenance and paying off the lights over time. This option is a lot more complicated, will take a lot longer, will be a lot more expensive, because not only are you going to be paying for the buying the LEDs and the conversion, but you would also be buying your streetlight assets from National Grid. There are more options available with the municipal purchase pathway. You can choose whatever wattages or colors of lights that you would like. There are also the option to insert smart controls on your lights. So things like dimming the street lights, Wi-Fi connectivity. There's some really interesting advanced sensors that are out there that you could pursue if you went with a municipal purchase. But again, it's a lot. It will take over a year to go through that process, sometimes two. It's a lot more expensive up front, but it could save you more in the long term because of those maintenance savings. But with the utility-owned option, the only thing that the town would be paying for is the remaining value of the existing lights. So those lights, the high-pressure sodium lights that are out there now, have some sort of value left on them based on National Grid's depreciation schedule. Some of them may have no value. Some of them may have just replaced recently. So they take an average of the remaining value of each of the lights and provide one value as an average to multiply by your number of lights to get the total cost. But that's all you would be paying for the utility-owned option. And we do have that number from National Grid, and I will mention it in just a moment. But to start, your inventory of street lights, there are 122 high-pressure sodium Cobra head luminaires. So you have 82 100 watt, 38 150 watt, and 2 250 watt lights right now. So taking that information and National Grid's billing tariff, so how they currently bill for streetlights, which is not metered, meaning that they assume that your lights are running for a certain amount of time and bill you based on that assumption of burn hours. So taking National Grid's billing tariff and your streetlight inventory, I have assumed that you would convert to the typical LED wattage scenarios. So usually if you want to see a similar amount of light from your streetlights, you would convert the 100 watt high pressure sodium lamps to a 25 watt or a 150 watt high pressure sodium to a 48 watt, and then the 250 watt high pressure sodium to the 96 watt LEDs. So that's just an assumption that I'm making. You don't have to go that way. But again, there are only 4 LED wattage options with National Grid. The fourth option is a 210 watt LED, which really would be really too bright for what you currently have. So if you're currently happy with the wattage of your lights right now, this is what we would recommend. Your conversion cost is $13,107.81. That is provided by National Grid. That is what they calculate to be the remaining value of the town street lights, the high pressure sodium lights that are out there right now. So that is what you would be responsible for paying for. But I know that might sound like a big number, but let me continue on, and it may seem a little less scary. There are incentives available from National Grid, and those incentives are based on the LED wattages that you are converting to. So I have calculated, and also National Grid has provided this number, and I double checked it. And so the estimated incentives to the town is $6,720. So overall, when everything's said and done, the total cost to the town would be $6,387.81. Now, National Grid does require you to pay the total 13,000 number up front, and then typically within a month or two, they provide that incentive. You don't have to apply for it. It just automatically comes. And so you would, within a month or two, recover $6,700 of that 13,000 that you initially pay. And then the annual cost savings. So converting to LEDs, this cost savings includes all components of your bill. So this is including the energy savings as well as the facility fees. So actually with switching to LEDs, National Grid's facility fees increase a little bit, but your energy savings are so significant with LEDs that you would see overall about a 22% savings. So, that's pretty significant. Typically, street lighting is a good component of municipal government bills. So, that's 22% is pretty good as far as cost savings go. Now, that equates to about a less than 2-year payback, simple payback. That's including the incentive. If for some reason the incentives run out and you do not receive an incentive, then it would be a 3.8-year incentive. I am told by National Grid as of a month ago that they have plenty of incentives left and actually have put in with the Public Service Commission to extend their available incentives. So, even if this first round of incentive dollars runs out, they should be extending it. I don't see the Public Service Commission having any issues with them giving more incentives on this, but of course it is yet to be seen. But what I'm told is right now there should be enough incentives for the foreseeable future as far as streetlight projects go. Energy savings, you can see, would be about 76% from switching to from high pressure sodium to LEDs. And then National Grid estimates the lifetime of their LEDs to be about 25 years. So I've just put these numbers here for reference. Assuming the lights last the full 25 years, that's about $86,500 in savings to the town through this project. So there are a couple options when it comes to financing. Typically with the utility LED streetlight conversion projects, municipalities just pay either with their budget or through a grant. If this money is not available in the budget, then the Clean Energy Communities program is a great place to look. Again, the next round of the program should be coming out any minute, and there will be multiple different grant opportunities for the town. So that is something that I am available to assist with moving forward. If the town decides that you want to move forward with LED streetlights, but just don't have the money in the budget right now, this is, something that we could pursue together. National Grid does have a financing option, but their interest rate is close to 10%. So it is not something we recommend. I just mention it so that you are aware that it exists. It is often a question asked as well. So I just put it here. But again, we don't recommend it because it will negate most of your savings. So there are some other financing options if the town is interested in the municipal purchase option, but we can talk about that at another time for the interest of time, if that's something you're interested in. So if the town does decide to move forward with LED streetlight conversion through the utility program, National Grid requires a letter requesting conversion, along with your inventory of streetlights, the current wattages, and the desired LED wattages for each lamp. So that is something, again, that I could help you with. I have templates of those letters that I could provide. And their National Grid is currently a couple of months out on their conversions. Sometimes during the winter, over the past couple of years, they've been pulled away from LED streetlight projects because of winter storms. They have the same crews that work on the LED conversions as cleanup from winter storms. So things can get delayed. But as of right now, I am told that they are a couple of months out. So if tomorrow you decided to move forward, you could see conversion in a couple of months, and typically they do about 40 lights a day. So it would only take a couple of days for them to complete the project. Or at least it should, without any storms or unforeseen circumstances. And then the final next step is to continue pursuing the Clean Energy Communities program actions. We mentioned the benchmarking resolution. And also, I know that the town has adopted the initial version of the Unified Solar Permit, which is another one of the actions through the program. And I am not sure if the town has yet adopted the new version, which was released in October of 2016. But if not, that is definitely something that I can assist with as well. I just thought I'd mention it since you've already started down this path. And then I am available for any questions if you'd like to ask now or follow up with me on one of those methods of communication. So thank you very much. And again, if you'd like to ask any questions now, I'm happy to answer.
Hi, this is Tom Chartrand. I'm the finance officer. If we enter into the project before applying for the grant, would we still be able to apply for the grant and possibly be awarded it later?
No, so the grant projects are always going to be for new projects. But that being said, if you did work through the LED streetlight conversion now with municipal funds, that is one of the actions that can help qualify you for another grant or for a grant. So, you know, you can either use this as a stepping stone towards a grant, or you can do some other things and use the grant funds for this project.
I guess then how long does it take for the grant? If we apply for the next series of grants, when would we know and be able to start our project?
Well, it depends how motivated the town is and which actions through the new program, you know, you're able to complete. So it does require completing some of these things like the benchmarking, like the unified solar permit, some of which are free, like those two, some of which cost money, like this LED streetlights action. So there will be, I'm not sure how familiar with everybody is about the current program, but the new program is going to build off of that. So there will be a number of additional actions that are added that may, you know, help the town work through towards a grant quicker. I can't really give you a timeline though on how fast we can get to that point, because it depends on the action and, you know, how quickly we're able to move through those actions that we're completing to qualify for a grant. But it could be as little as a couple of months, especially considering you've already started a couple of them. But, you know, some communities, they do an action a year and it takes a couple of years, so.
Amanda, this is Renee. I'll take you up on that help with the unified solar permit, because it's been on my plate, and I started working on it, and I've been working with my codes officer on it as well, but I could use a little more tweaking of it. Probably that's really why it's not on the website yet and been replaced, but we didn't even realize we were using an old one.
Yeah, I think a lot of communities didn't realize NYSERDA changed it. You know, there were some issues with the old version that they wanted to fix. So this new version, you know, has all of the code requirements as they would like them stated. But yes, I'm definitely available to help you work through that. We have a version of it that has each section that you would need to adjust highlighted. I don't know if you have that already.
No, that's what I've been working off of. It's just a little bit, I don't have all the answers.
Okay.
So, but I know we need to update it on our website,
Mhm.
not the right one. But, I understand it, if you don't use the new one, NYSERDA doesn't necessarily recognize the permit. Is that correct or not? I really don't want people to be in that boat.
Yeah, so the permit is really, it's okay if you're still using the old one for the town. I mean, really the permit is for the benefit of the town. But NYSERDA will not recognize the old one within this Clean Energy Communities program. So you wouldn't get credit for that action as part of this program unless you adopted a new version. But as far as using the old one up to now, it's not going to, you know, there's nothing. It's not going to harm anybody if you use the old version up to this point.
So I have a question about financing.
Mhm.
And that is, I don't really, and Tom Chartrand, correct me if I'm not accurate, but I don't really see us as having available funds to cover the full 13,000 and change up front right now. But with the understanding that National Grid thinks they're going to continue to. Somebody say something? Oh, incentives going forward. If we needed to wait on this a little bit, are we going to put ourselves in jeopardy of being able to participate?
As far as the incentives go, From what I've been told by National Grid, you should be okay. However, there's no guarantee. Technically, their incentives were for 2018, 19, and 20, or until funds ran out. But the funds did not run out, and they still have those funds available and have, like I said, requested to extend them through the next couple of years. So assuming that their rate case is approved with National Grid, then you shouldn't have any issues. But, it's nothing certain as far as if it definitely will be approved. Only the Department of Public Service knows. So, there's always the risk that if you wait, they may run out of funds and then not be able to provide grant incentives in the future. But as far as waiting on the LED streetlights and still being able to work through the utility conversion program in general, you can work through it at any time, really, but it just might be at a greater cost to you. But the good thing is, as I mentioned with just the payback, even if you didn't receive any incentives, the payback on the project would be less than 4 years. So, you're taking a little bit of a risk by waiting, but it would still be beneficial even at that point.
Well, and I want the board to know, I'm not asking for them to make any decisions about this tonight, so
Right.
I can put their minds at ease. It was more just to present information. But I would like to explore more with you personally, Amanda, some funding thoughts I have for ways we could do this sooner rather than later. Maybe bring Tom Chartrand into the picture to part of the discussion. But that we can do that between now and the next time the board meets. But I don't have any more questions, but I want to open it to everybody else. I'm sorry, I tend to be a question. Does anybody else want to ask a question?
No, but it sounds good.
Financing is interesting, how we're gonna pull that off.
I got
Well,
some
do you want my
ideas.
analysis now, or do you want to wait?
Yeah. I want it now, so I know.
Okay, so I ran the numbers based on what our current billing is for the current lights, along with the projections we received from Amanda. If we did this very early in 2021, based on what our budget is, we would need to come up with an extra 3,200 in our budget to cover the cost of this project in the 2021 budget year. Every month we wait, we're going to add $500-600 to that because we're not having the savings on the LED. So the longer we wait, the more it's going to cost us if we want to do it in 2021.
I like that.
I do too. That sounds good.
That sounds reasonable.
Yeah. I think
And I have a couple of things that I will get to in my report that may provide the funding for that.
perfect. Okay. That's encouraging, Tom. Thank you.
Yeah. Great, Tom.
Anyone else? I can't see everybody because,
This is John Shaheen.
hi, John.
Yeah, I came up with a similar conclusion to what Tom just laid out. I had a couple questions for Renee, or I'm sorry, for Amanda. Is there a,
I'm like, what are you going to ask me?
Amanda, or actually one's already been answered as far as when the incentives run out, but what happens at the end of the useful life of 25 years?
So anytime if you move through the utility conversion program, National Grid will still own the lights. It'll be just like how they take care of any high pressure sodium light that goes out now. So they go in and remove it and recycle it typically. So they don't just go in and do that for lights that are still working. So it has to be a light that either goes out and somebody reports, or there's an accident and it falls over and somebody reports it. So it would be the same thing with an LED light. They would, if somebody reports an outage, they'll go in and replace it, and that's at any point, even before the 25 years. But it could also be much longer than the 25 years too, if the lights, last longer than that. So yes, they do. National Grid takes care of the lights, and they will continue to do whatever they do with those lights, which is, typically recycle them.
Okay, so at the end of their useful life, there's when they replace them, there's no additional cost to the town, though.
No, nope, that's all included in your monthly facility fee.
Okay.
So I think for me, what my next step would like to be is to really drill down on the numbers. And if Tom's got some ideas about how we could fund this, and then also figure out, where's my Tom Purcell? Oh, there he is. Tom, we're probably going to need to work with you on inventory and just to know, get an idea, but
So just on that quickly, I don't mean to interrupt, but I do have an inventory from National Grid that lists out every single street light in the town, the number of the pole, and the street name and the current wattage. So we have that.
oh,
Renee, you already have that as well. You forwarded it to me, so you have it someplace, Renee.
Well, you may not have known what you're looking at. If you don't know what it is, it's gibberish. But yes, so we have that now. That is also to say that a lot of times when communities go through this process, they end up finding some discrepancies between what's actually out there and what you've been being billed for. So you may, if you do end up moving forward, you may see, some changes here and there, because National Grid actually goes out and redoes the inventory before they, do the conversion for you, just to double check everything. And so that's a double benefit in some cases. If you're being billed for things that aren't there anymore, you'll get reimbursed for that. So,
well, if the 3 vouchers that I have in front of me that we're paying to National Grid are indicative of 1 month's worth of our payments to them, I can figure out what 22%. And I don't know, Tom, if these are, I've got 2 for street lighting and 1 for the town facilities, and
It's only the street lighting ones that you should be looking at.
okay, so then,
but also
that's significant.
I should mention the, if you're just looking at 1 month of streetlight bills, it will be different every month where you're billed, because they
Okay.
assign a different burn hour amount every
Oh,
month.
right,
My analysis already included that.
okay,
You're so good, Tom.
I know, of course.
Anticipate.
So I still look at what the ultimately we could save and with 22%, savings. And I think if we can do it and it's energy efficient, it's all good. So we'll work on it and hopefully have something to report back in January and move on it.
Okay, well, thank you all very much.
And,
And
Thank you.
if
Thank you.
feel free to reach out with my contact information, and I can provide the slides as well, if that would be
That
helpful.
would be great. And then we can put them on our website.
Okay, all right, thank
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck with the baby.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. So just as follow up, are everybody good with that? I'll report.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
All right. So let's move on to Tom Chartrand's reporting.
Okay. So everybody probably grabbed theirs hopefully when they were up at the town hall.
Yep.
So our interest rate crept down slightly on our NICLAS. We were at 0.095. We're now at 0.085. So not a huge differential. Still nowhere near where we were earlier in the year, but not bad. So here's the good news. This is gonna blow your mind. Our mortgage tax came in just monstrous for the end of the year. Thank you, Dave.
Yay.
Yay.
So,
Good news.
we're coming in with 150,000 approximately, and it's gonna push us 100,000 above what we had budgeted on that line item.
Wow.
So people are refinancing is the real key to all of this. So it's probably not gonna happen again because there's only so many properties to refinance. But this is probably a one-time bonus, and that would be a good thing to spend on whatever the differential is on the lighting for next year. Because it would save us for a long time to come, and
Yeah.
it's not a reoccurring cost. It's a reduction cost in the future.
Right, right.
So,
Right.
This is the
Good
first
news.
month I
Way
feel
to
like
go.
finally got like some solid, like good revenue news. Time coming.
we haven't been doing all that bad all year long.
No,
We
but
really
but
haven't.
still, it's been a long dry spell. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Renee, can I hop in real quick?
Yes.
Just real quick, yeah, that's, Tom was exactly correct as far as that's a one-time, so use it for one-time type things, because you never know how much this is going to be going forward. But obviously it's very good news, and I will take a little bit of a good lap on it, just saying most counties keep this money, but we give it out to the towns and villages and the city as well. So, and Central gets another good piece of this. So, yep, nope, good news. Absolutely.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay, so that's about all I had on the first line there on the agenda. Next line asks for the reconciliation of the bank statements and monthly reports.
The motion, we accept the monthly reports of the supervisor, town clerk, and tax collector.
I second it.
Judy seconds it. Ann makes the motion. Judy seconds it. Any discussion? Everybody get a chance to look at them?
Yes.
All in
Yes.
favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Dave's. gone.
Oh,
Dave turned into Weinerheimer.
I love-
Next item was the payment of the bills. Was there any concerns on the vouchers?
They're more, not concerns, I just, two questions. Are we still getting billed for Windstream? Was that the last one? Because I thought,
I'm hoping that's the last one, but yeah, I don't have any control over when they switched over. So it looks like it should be in the period that they switched over, but it didn't say final on it.
and the AT&T phone bill is for what?
That is for Bob's phone and tablet.
Okay, so that's codes. Okay. That's all I had. And I would.
a motion, we approve the payment of the bills then?
I
And
second.
Judy seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, for the year-to-date recap, our general fund spending right now without the SOTS is at 69%. So that's very good when you're looking at the beginning of December. Our revenue is at 93%. When I plugged in the mortgage tax number, it brought us to 102% of our revenue.
I knew it was going to put us over.
Highway spending is currently at 77%. Our revenue is at 97%. I think we'll be over 100% on the highway once we get the second CHIPS reimbursement check, which is supposed to come out in mid-December. So we'll know more at the end of the year on that. I did leave you guys a transfer sheet, and it wasn't on the agenda because I didn't get back to Renee on that one. So are we comfortable with those transfers that I gave you, that we're moving money
Oh.
around
Yes.
for the website and the COVID costs, and then just some special district appropriating the surplus because Tom did some drainage repairs up in Pompey Pines and Arbutus. And so we would
Yes.
need a motion to make those transfers.
Make a motion, we transfers Tom just read.
Second it.
Carl made a motion and Judy seconded it. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, and at the December meeting, I always ask you guys to approve that the supervisor make any necessary end of the year budget line transfers. Just because my crystal ball doesn't tell me if there's going to be a big bill surprise on one of these lines, major furnace repairs or broken truck engine or something that we have to pay for this year.
Get motion for Renee to make any end of the year transfers if they're needed.
I second.
Ann made a motion and Judy seconded it. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And then for the,
Well, good about it if I have to.
I'll walk you through it.
Thank you.
And then the other item under there was the decision on the December payroll. The first highway payroll's December 10th, which is this Thursday, which would leave our people that get paid hourly from December 8th till January 31st without any funding. So I'm kind of thinking the best bet would be the December 24th highway payroll, but it's up to you guys.
Make a motion that highway payment be December 24th payroll.
Second.
Second.
Carl made the motion and Judy seconded it. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So I'll explain a little more detail what I did with the lighting bills. So we've been reducing our billing a little bit on that lighting. We took a couple $100 out of our budget for next year, unfortunately. But so we have a total budget between the special districts, Pompey and Delphi special lighting districts, and the town street lighting corners. Our total budget is $17,400. So I added in the differentials on the cost assessments and then took out their estimated savings. So I added 6,300 something, and I took out the 3,400 they said we were going to be saving on our actual electric bills. So we came up needing a total of about 20,400, and that left me with the 3,200. So as you can see, over the course of the year, they're saying we're going to save 3,400 in a whole year. So it's going to add, $500, maybe $400 each month that we delay this. So I guess in that case, with the big mortgage tax money coming in, this seems like a real no-brainer to move on this as quickly as possible.
Do we want to do it now then?
Yes.
I would think so. Get them started so that we're having that energy savings, hopefully in February or March as opposed to June or July.
So
Now then later.
Right.
If I could have Tim unmute, I just want to make sure what I need to do do we need a vote here?
Yes, you can make a motion, somebody can make a motion to enter into an agreement with the Central New York Planning Board
And National Grid.
and National Grid to swap out existing lights for the
LEDs?
LED lights and whatever agreement we're talking about would be subject to attorney approval.
I'll make the motion. You said it so well.
I'll
I would
second it.
I'm a big proponent of this, so I would second this motion. So then Carl made the motion. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Tom Chartrand.
No, thank you, Dave Knapp, and the way the county distributes the mortgage tax.
Yeah, thank you, Dave.
Thanks, David.
Yeah, and David, what happened to the dog?
She only comes up here when the computer's on and I'm on a Zoom call, it seems like. So I have a feeling she'll be back.
Okay.
I just had one other thing that came up while I was looking at stuff. Are we going to need a special meeting before the end of the year to settle up on the union contract?
Good question, perhaps.
Well, it just, if we were to schedule it now, then we'd be able to do end of the year vouchers. We'd have a better idea where we're looking earlier in the year next year.
Tim, do you think we should do that?
I don't know that we're in a position to do that at this point. We would need to go into executive session to discuss the union.
Yeah,
contract.
I mean, I'm not sure we are either, but,
We're getting closer, but I don't know that we're there.
It just, in the past, sometimes we scheduled an end of the year meeting, and it's easier to do it now than do it as an emergency meeting. You could always cancel it later too.
I was gonna say, do we want to do it I mean, I don't necessarily know if we need to do it for the collective bargaining reason. If we have vouchers that need to be paid or something else that comes up, we might want to schedule the last, what's the Monday?
It'd be Monday, the 28th, most likely.
Well, what's the rest of the board feel? You want to, can we schedule, just tentatively schedule it for the 28th? We'd have to do a notice by when? Legal.
You need 3 days notice, so it's no big, so
Okay,
we
so
can
we
put
will
out the
know.
notice.
So do I have to make a motion for that?
You got to set a time and a date, yes.
I would move that we schedule a special meeting of the town board to do year-end business for Monday, December 28th at 6:30 PM.
Second,
Carl seconded it. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion opposed?
Nikki, do you need some help on, do you know how to do the special meeting notice?
I do.
Okay,
Thanks.
You might be able to incorporate your organizational meeting notice into that one as well. I don't know. You might be able to save some by doing 2 meetings in one notice.
Okay.
And that's everything I had, Renee, unless there was any
Okay.
questions.
No. Nikki, you're, oh yeah, you're muted.
Okay, if everyone had the chance to review the November 4th meeting minutes, I'm looking for a motion to accept November 4th,
A
2020.
motion that we accept the November meeting or town clerk's report.
second,
Judy made the motion and seconded it. Any discussion? Other than to say they were really well done, Nikki?
Wow. Wow.
And long.
Yeah,
so long.
Lengthy.
so good work. All
Thank
those,
you. There was a lot of public comment, and I think it's really important that for people who can't listen to the meeting, you can look back and know
Yeah.
everything that was discussed and talked about. So,
Good job, Nikki.
yeah.
thanks.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I didn't hear anybody. Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, the second thing is I just wanted to update the public on the change in town clerk hours due to the increasing cases of COVID. We are still by appointment only. We are there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And starting on January 2nd, which is a Saturday, we will be there from 9 to noon every Saturday for tax collecting season. If for some reason you need an appointment and you're not able to come during the day, like if it's a marriage license and both parties have to be present and you can't come between 9 and 4, just call or email us. I'm more than happy to come in and do a 6 o'clock appointment if needed. So evening appointments by appointment only if needed.
Nikki, can I just ask something just to clarify?
Yeah.
So I think there was some concern that by saying you're open during those 9 to 4 hours, that somehow meant you're available but it's by appointment only. You will be there 9 to 4.
Yes, my office is staffed. We are staffed and we are there from 9 to 4. But you can't just walk in because we're really trying to regulate the traffic. We're really trying to keep COVID, from spreading. We're trying to slow the spread. So there's a number right on the door. Even if for some reason you forget and you get to the door, call, make sure we don't have an appointment. If not, I'm happy to make one and take care of whatever you need. But we are by appointment only. At least going forward until the craziness stops. We're appointment only. And that goes hand in hand with the last thing I wanted to talk about, adjustments due to COVID for tax collecting season. It's going to be very similar to school taxes. So the tax bills will be mailed out at the end of December. Keeping our community as safe as possible is honestly our #1 priority in our office. We're strongly encouraging all taxpayers to mail in your tax payment directly to the town. I understand some people like to bring it up in person, and if that's the case, we're working with the highway crew and they're going to help us install a drop box on the outside of the town for you to be able to do that. Regarding traffic control, it's just like school taxes. We're asking everyone to come in through the Pompey Center Road entrance. There'll be cones hopefully on the outside. We have to figure it out with snow. So just like school taxes, come in Pompey Center, come to the front of the building. The admission is as it's first come, first serve, and you have to have an appointment, so you really can't just step in. And you'll exit the Route 20 exit. Where that Route 20 entrance is where you'll exit. So you're going around the town backwards. You're coming in front of the highway garage, you're stopping in front. Say for whatever reason you have to pay them in person, you have to have an appointment. You have to wait, and then you have to exit through the front of the town hall, which is facing Route 20. Larry Fitz is also by appointment only. I know he's not on here, but he's available Mondays from 1 to 4. And because we're really trying to control the flow of traffic and slow the spread, you have to call the office, you have to make an appointment. And his number and email are listed on the website also.
Well, I would just thank you for what you're doing to try and regulate what, if we don't control the traffic, it's not good for the town, the people that work in the town, and it's not good for the public. So we're doing the best we can. I know it's not always convenient, and it's not going to be convenient for people to have to make an appointment, but these are crazy times, and we just have to do what we need to do. Stay safe and
Safety, yes.
yeah. So we were all, Carl was there this afternoon. We're all trying to figure out how to taxes paid in a way that would allow people to come to the town hall if they need to. But I cannot emphasize enough and back Nikki on this. If you can pay your taxes by mail or some other, without having to come to the town hall, please, please do it, please. It worked well for school taxes. A lot of people did it. And it really cut down on exposure and the risk factor. So I see Dave Knapp came back online. If there's anything you want to say in that regard? You go.
No, I know we're, we're along with you. That's what all the towns are doing. And, I know there's folks that like to, some people still pay taxes with cash, so I would hope that, maybe that would be the, everybody that's not doing that, which is 98%, could certainly mail them in. Yeah, no, and again, that's what every town's doing. It's not just Pompey. Got to do it.
Yep.
Good.
Thanks. Are you good, Nikki? Is that everything?
I'm good. Yeah, thank
Thanks.
you.
Okay, Tom Purcell, Highway.
Well, the plan for plowing if COVID happens to hit the highway department, the plan is hopefully it won't. My guys are all good. We've been stressing this about the safety and the cleaning and all this stuff. So if we do gotta get in a bind, I do have 3 people that are available to help us out. And there's always help from all the surrounding towns and the county if need be. So hopefully we will not have to face this problem, but I got ideas and plans in place if need be. So,
Good.
Good job, Tom.
thank you.
Yeah, I
That's
think.
all I have, Renee.
Yeah, and most of the towns are similarly situated with their plans. They're relying on the neighbors and extra help if that happens, because especially in a town like Pompey, you got to plow snow if we get a storm. So happy to hear that, Tom. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Bob Rodriguez, codes, anything to report?
No, I will start working on the window proposals tomorrow morning and try to come up with a solution before then, within a week for you. See how we want to handle that.
Okay.
Year to date, so far we've issued 109 permits. We've got 4 more sitting on the table right now that'll get done the next day. We've collected $14,442 in fees to date. And here again, you're working on new permit applications, upgrading our permit applications while you are. And I thank you for the help on that.
No problem. We're looking at the fireworks permit. We may or may not change it, but we're looking at it. Also, the driveway permitting on the website needs to be revised.
Yes.
We have one for the town, but we need to put one on there for county, state roads, and there'll be a link that will allow people to go to the right place to get the right permit for county and state roads. And what was the third one? Oh, the unified solar permit. That's just, it's my nemesis right now. But thanks.
Thank you.
Tim.
Yeah, we have a couple of resolutions that we need to look at tonight and hopefully move forward to passage. The first one, and I did written resolutions. I'm hoping everybody saw them, but they should be available and we can just approve the resolution as presented by the attorney. The first one has to do with stormwater management plan and contracting with the Central New York Planning Board, who Monica works for. But they have another section that deals with stormwater. Because we're in an MS4 district, we have to do certain types of investigations, and we also have to do some educational programs. And instead of doing it ourselves, we contract with Central New York Planning Board, like most municipalities do. We're not the only one. Several of the municipalities do this so that we pay them the cost of having to do it on our own. So that resolution has been provided to you. Does anybody have any questions about the contract itself?
No.
So if somebody wanted to make a motion to approve the resolution, I don't know which number it is, but
I make a motion, we approve resolution 2020.
I
Stormwater.
second it.
Is there a number on that? Carl, what
2020.
2020, is it just the year?
Nikki's got the number, I think. We went
Oh,
through them,
this is
right, Nikki?
resolution 2020.
Okay, so Carl made a motion and Judy seconded.
Yes.
Any discussion on this? Everybody get a chance to look at the resolution?
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
the second resolution has to do with the entering into a contract with the Onondaga County Resource Recovery Agency. As you all know, we provide through the Southern what do they call it? SOTS?
Other Onondaga trash system.
Yes, SOTS. Through SOTS, we provide all our refuse and recyclables to the Onondaga County Resource Recovery Agency, who has an integrated waste management system. In the past, our recyclables were brought to the Okra facility, and then Okra would sell them. I think we discussed it at the last meeting that the markets for recyclable have dried up. There are no more markets for recyclable goods. And as a result, a deficit has been caused within the Okra budget that has to be made up. And so they're proposing a 2-year fee, a recyclable tipping fee of, I think it's $34 per ton. And they want us to enter into this contract to assist in supplementing that deficit to going forward and hopefully starting to close that deficit while they're looking for new markets for our recyclables. Does anybody have any questions for me about that contract?
No.
So the resolution has been prepared to authorize the supervisor to sign the contract with Okra.
I make a motion that we have our supervisor sign the contract with Okra.
Second.
Judy made a motion and Carl seconded it. Any discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Then
Sign it. No, go ahead.
The last resolution has to deals with our contract with the Central New York SPCA to provide Article 7 and Article 26 services. Article 7 services are dogs running at large, and they provide those services to the town of Pompey. And the other services primarily for investigation as it relates to cruelty to animals or any other violations of the agricultural markets law as it relates to keeping animals, making sure animals are being kept safely. I think the dogs running at large contract was $4,000, and the cruelty to animals contract was
1,274
something.
yeah,
and 40 cents.
yes,
An odd amount,
yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
But
I
these
make a
are
motion
services.
we contract
These are
with
services.
SPCA for the
So we have
amount of
two con-
$4,000 and $1,274.40 annually.
Second. I'm sorry, Annie.
And Tim, what were you going to say?
Nothing. No,
Oh.
There's two contracts we have to do. They're both
Yeah,
in the
this is
resolution.
for Animal, should we do them separately or can we combine them since they're both with the SPCA, one for animal cruelty and one for dog control?
Yeah, you can just pass the resolution as it's been presented.
Oh, okay, that's true. So that Carl made a motion to pass the resolution. Judy seconded it.
You can let Ann.
Who did?
I said you can, Ann was in there together, so let Annie have it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Can I just speak for a second on the SPCA contract, Tim, before we go on to the next? I just want the board to know and the public that I did reach out to the SPCA and ask them about calls, like how often we get called and they get called to come out here, and ask them for a 3-year, give me 3 years worth of data. And so they did give it to me. And I just want to quickly tell you that for dog control, in 2018, they got 15 calls, they seized 8 dogs. In 2019, they got 16 calls and seized 7 dogs. In 2020, they have had 17 calls and they've seized 8 dogs. Now, seizing, I don't think means they took them away forever. I think it just means that they picked them up and then, depending on the circumstances, probably got them back to their owners, but they were probably running at large or whatever and needed to be controlled.
If there were injuries caused by the dog, either other dogs or to individuals, then we would have to consider doing a dangerous dog case in town court, but I have not done any of them in 2020, so I assume that that hasn't been the situation.
Yeah, okay. And then for animal cruelty, in 2018, there were 2 calls with 1 animal seized. 19, there were 13 calls with 1 animal seized, and so far in 2020, there's been 4 calls and no dogs, no dogs at all seized. So animal cruelty can be any animal, so it's not just dogs. So I just wanted to recite that because we sometimes wonder like how much of that type of activity goes on in the town, and there is actually some. Okay, and then Tim, could you maybe just update us on the last item there?
Yeah, we were in court in November, I believe, on a complaint related to essentially a junkyard on Pompey Center Road. We discussed it with the owner of the home. The judge has asked that we enter into an agreement where he takes steps to start cleaning the property. It's my understanding that some of those steps have already been taken and the property has been worked on. I think there's still some more work to do, but at least we're seeing some progress with that home. And I have to say that the property owner has been cooperative.
Okay. Bob, you're nodding.
No, they have been cleaning the place up. They do have a little ways to go, but it's a vast improvement. And this is just the start of what we're going to do for the town. You know, trying to, if we have people like this around, we're going to try to work with them and get their areas cleaned up. If they don't, then we'll take what steps are needed. But,
Good.
nope.
So that's all I have, Madam Supervisor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
And I did drive by there when I came over to the town hall today, and there has been obviously significant cleanup, but there's still so much left to be done.
There's a long ways to go.
Yes.
A
it's
long
just
ways.
Real, and I don't know what you do. Carl might know better than any farm, but how do you bring that land back? It's just been ruined.
All it is a parking lot, basically. So
Yeah.
it's been ruined, but it'll never serve agriculture again. No.
Well,
No.
the owner has to restore it back to grass. There's going to be some parking area there, but the owner has to restore it back to, you know, residential area, grass.
Grass.
Okay, well, thank you, Tim, for representing us, and Bob for all your hard work.
Thank you, Tim and Bob.
Violations. I know that people around that household, that property are appreciative. So, okay. Does anybody on the town board have anything they want before I do my section? Nobody got back to me, so I'm assuming nobody has an item to add. That said, I think we need to set an organizational meeting for the start of next year, and I think the first Monday is January 4th.
I make a motion January 4th be the organizational meeting set at 6:30.
I second it.
Judy seconds it. Carl made the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. I'm going to skip the second one just for a second to take the third one. Is anybody still, other than me, need to do their mandatory?
I do. I haven't.
Training.
I do.
Okay.
I've got the whole printout up there. I did.
Perfect. I
I did mine.
I know some of you haven't, and you've been good and you've given me the results, but for those that I haven't gotten anything back on, I just wanted to remind everyone.
Oh, okay.
Done.
You have a little bit of time left in the year to get it done, but it needs to be done. So then backing up to the solar farm overlay district local law. We talked last month about the fact that we did have someone interested in a solar farm project in the town. But the concern we have is since we don't have a law in place, they can't present or apply for a permit to put the farm or to have the farm considered the solar farm. So we talked about how we would do a public hearing a month ago. There certainly a lot has changed in a month with respect to our ability to do it live in person with the increased rates of COVID and the county executives urging for all of us to not gather. It is not an option, at least in my mind at this point, to do a public hearing live in person, although the Pompey Hill Fire Department I did get approval from them to use their facility if we were going to do such a thing. So, but I don't know how many people we could even facilitate in there, but by the time you get town officials into a room and the amount of people you could put into a room after that with COVID restrictions would be minimal. So I'm thinking we're going to need to do sooner rather than later a virtual public hearing on this law. But I would like for the board to weigh in on what your thoughts are. I think we need to do this hearing sooner rather than later. And get something in place that can then be used as the basis for anybody who wants to make an application, but we don't have anything right now. Any thoughts?
I know we need it, but
Difficult to do it.
Difficult.
Yeah, I would recommend a hybrid where we do, if we could have some people live and some people virtual, but the audio is so bad. And I just was reading in the Eagle newspapers yesterday that DeWitt had a public hearing that ran 4 hours and the audio for the people on the virtual was horrible. They couldn't hear. And I do not want to run into that problem for people. If we're going to have a hearing, I want people to be able to hear and participate.
So that means holding off then.
It either means holding off or we do it completely virtually without having any
comments?
Person participation. So, and it's difficult to figure out how you might draw, and I don't really have a sense on how much there might have differing opinions about what we should be doing, but it's difficult to figure out how to do that and have it be a quality hearing where people can actually participate and hear other people's views. And so, but I also don't think we should be holding off on it at this point. So that's the dilemma we have.
Renee, it's Veronica.
Yes.
So if you were to do it all virtual, it'll be very similar to what we're doing tonight or at any other public hearing that we've done with the other boards. So people that want to participate are joining the meeting like they are tonight on Zoom. And if they want to engage in the public hearing portion, they, let us know by either chat or by raising their hand, and we turn on their audio and they speak like they did at the last meeting. So for all of the board tonight, that's how the experience will be.
So I guess my question to the board is, do we want to hold a virtual public hearing, which we could do whenever we decide to schedule it sooner, Or are we going to hold off on it until we can, who knows when that might be, do it with in-person attendance?
I think that's going to be into the spring before we're probably going to have personal attendance. I mean, that's a ways off.
Yeah, no, I agree, Ian.
Probably got to do something virtual.
Yeah. Carl?
Yeah, virtual. Make a
Virtual?
motion.
Yeah, I mean, because I think even some people that should be in attendance, some of our own board members and some of our committee members that worked on this aren't even going to be comfortable coming to a live with the public. So I worry that we wouldn't even have the necessary people in the room if we did it.
Right.
So if we do it virtually, do we want to have it on the organizational meeting night, or do we want to do it separate?
Would we have time?
It would make for probably a pretty long meeting.
Right.
Separate.
Okay,
That's okay with me.
so if we do it separate,
When do we do it?
yeah, because I don't know what if the planning board or the zoning board have meetings, we couldn't do it the second or the third Monday.
This could
How
actually
much
be-
more do you have on the organizational meeting? I mean, what are your other things you've got? I mean, the organizational meeting usually goes by pretty quick with all the appointments.
Yeah, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, and we might want to adjust our motion if that's the case, but when we did our organizational meeting this past January, didn't we do it earlier than the normal?
Yeah, we did 6 o'clock or something.
Yeah, something earlier, and I'm almost wondering if we want to start the organizational meeting on January 4th, if we want to revise that motion to do it earlier and then hold the public hearing that night too.
That would work. I'd revise the motion to organizational meeting, January 4th, 6 o'clock, a virtual meeting on Solar District at 6:30.
I second it.
Okay, Carl made a motion to revise the previous organizational meeting date and include a public hearing, and Judy seconded. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Renee,
Oh, yes.
do we have the local law on the website?
Yes.
Okay,
Veronica, we do, right? Yes, we do. It's right on the first page of, if you go to the homepage, it
okay.
scroll past all of the town officials and their dates and times and numbers, contact info. It's right, it's the next thing, I'm pretty sure.
Yep, it's on the homepage.
Okay, so the next three items are can be almost talked about in combination, but I will start by saying that last month we had a group of concerned citizens ask us to take a look at the activities and the noise at the Heritage Hill Brew House. And since then, in the last month, I have spent many hours taking a look at the issue, including meeting with planning board members to go over what had happened in the history of the planning board activities and approval of the application for the site plan approval for that Heritage Hill application, as well as reading the meeting minutes myself, speaking with Tim on occasion about the matter, sharing information with you board members that I was given by Palladino Farms, Dan Palladino, about farm days in particular, but also about ag and markets law in general. And I got those from a meeting that he requested that we have, and he was willing to share those items, and I provided them to the board to the extent that they are able to have the factual information about farm days and what it involved. We talked about trying to do an informational session, not the town itself, but those that are involved. And I've worked with Dave Knapp on that because it's really more of a county backed event, supported by the county executive. And there is a private sponsor for the event who is leasing the property at Palladino Farms. So there's a number of players involved, as well as the state farmland trust. I'm going to get I won't get it exactly right, but the farmland trust agency that oversees farms that have applied for and gotten exemptions in exchange for giving up their rights to develop their farmland, effort to preserve farmland. So trying to get an informational session, and again, COVID just wreaks havoc on planning, because any informational session at this moment is impractical unless we do it again totally virtually. So we might put that informational session off. I did have one neighbor request that we not do that until January, given the holidays anyway. So I'm not sure if there is to get that done. But what has become apparent to me is that there is definitely a difference of opinion, depending on who you talk to, about ag and markets law, the right to farm, and what is included and protected by that and what is not. I really do think that that is what this boils down to. And I am still educating myself, and I'm not totally clear on it as well. There is also a second event that's being planned, not by Dan, but by another group, to hold a tractor pull in Pompey, a couple of them actually. One to piggyback off of the Fireman's Field Days in June would be an antique tractor pull, and the other one to coincide with the farm days in August of next year, which would be a bigger 2-day event. And so we start to see some events gathering steam in the town of Pompey. People are excited about them, is my impression. And yet they've got some people who are concerned about them. And so it's a balance. We're going to have to figure out where the town fits into any of this. I have to say that with respect to any concerns people have with activities that are going on at Heritage Hill, or that if they believe that they are outside of plan approval, that it's my impression, and Tim, I'd love for you to weigh in on some of this if you feel comfortable, but that those are codes issues. If there are violations, that those need to be directed to the codes officer, and he can into them. He and I have talked about it, talked about the issues, and he's well aware of the concerns of the neighbors in that area, but also of Dan's business interests, and it's really all of Palladino Farms, although Dan is the driving force behind the business part of the farm. But and I think Dan is probably on this, but we'll have to wait till public comment to hear from him. I think he's on this call. But I think encouraging business in the town of Pompey, especially agribusiness, should be something that's a priority for us to a certain extent, and yet at the same time, doing it in a very thoughtful and reasoned way. So having said that, I've looked into Lafayette has a mass gathering permit that its town requires for any event that's over a certain size. And right off the top of my head, I don't know what the number is, but that just, it's basically a checking of the boxes. Have you done this, 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 this? It's a small fee I think they pay. I think Manlius has a similar type of law on the books. So I've asked the Association of Towns if they could come up with some other towns, similar laws in other towns. But so I just want those that are listening to know that there's been quite a bit of work done in the past month on this. I've talked to Dave Knapp about this. My concerns that there seems to be a difference of opinion about what ag and markets law allows and doesn't allow. And the right to farm, which is in our Constitution in New York State. And so there are a lot of competing elements at work here. And I think it's incumbent upon us to sift through them and figure out what role, if any, the town plays in all of this. And then decide what, if any, changes we want to make, or leave this at it, leave like things as they are, or what. But so I lay all that out, not because I have all the answers, but because it's, I think it's a discussion that this town needs to have. So I don't know if Dave wants to weigh in. I will give him the opportunity if he wants to, or if he just wants to listen. But I'm just also looking for input. I would be curious to see what other board members think, anybody who wants to weigh in. I would ask the public to understand that this is a board discussion, and that we will allow for public comment, including unmuting of people if they choose to, at the time we get to public comment. So
Town of Pompey plays what exactly a part in this? What permits or what's required exactly of the town of Pompey in either of these?
At this point, Carl, nothing. We
That's what I
don't.
thought.
Yeah, we don't have a role in regulating farm days or regulating even assemblies, an assembly of or gathering of a group of people. But I think that's what Renee is kind of talking about, as to whether or not the town is interested in having some control over that. And I think that that's ultimately the discussion. Could the town have a role in it? Yes. But at this point, nothing in our laws would allow us to do that.
That's what I was thinking.
Renee?
yes,
So real quick, for Lafayette, the mass gathering permit there is for gatherings of over 500 people. You know, the intention wasn't to get into graduation parties or, you know, family reunions or anything like that. It was truly for, you know, larger commercial type events. Obviously the Apple Festival has, you know, fills one of these out every year, but the fee is very small. It's either $35 or $50. I can't remember what it is, but the big thing it does is it really makes sure the person that's putting this event or gathering together has their ducks in a row. You know, everything from, you know, porta johns. Do you have enough porta johns versus how many people you're expecting? Parking, how's that going to work? Do you have fire and EMS available in case there's some kind of emergency? Insurance, do you have you know, liability insurance in place? And, you know, for like the Apple Festival, for example, the town is listed as an additional insured on that. So, you know, it really kind of organizes, especially for the codes officer. It's a check to make sure number one, to make sure the person putting this together or committee, whatever, has their ducks in a row. But number two, it does give the town a say in, is this something that, could get out of control or whatever, for whatever reason, the town may not want this to happen. So that's really what it is. It's not meant as being anything onerous or anything like that, but it's a good check and puts the town kind of is the purpose there. And, just to echo your comments from before on Heritage Hill, and, there's a lot of different things going on from, the ag markets and right to farm law versus the New York Agricultural Land Trust is what you were thinking about for the one that actually owns the development rights there, owns the easement. And so they have a big say in what's allowed versus what's not allowed up there. So, it's kind of a unique situation because there's a lot of different rules and regulations at play here. So definitely would like to, get together with especially the neighbors and anyone else interested, obviously, but talk about, the event, number one, what it is and what it isn't. Make sure everybody's comfortable.
Yeah.
Dave, can I ask you a question about the Lafayette permit? What happens if it doesn't get, if they don't check all the boxes, can the town actually prevent the event from happening?
Yeah.
Okay. And I've looked at that permit myself, and I've sent it to Tim. I don't think I've shared it with the rest of you.
I mean, it's not, it works for Lafayette, but.
No, but I don't find it to be onerous. It seems.
Exactly. It's pretty straightforward.
You would expect a responsible event planner to have in place. So for me, it almost is a benefit to somebody who's planning something because it sort of sets them up for success rather than
organize their thoughts.
have
What
something
I need to do
disastrous.
for something. Oh, by the way, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm not saying we necessarily want to do that type of go in that direction. I think it would require, Tim, change in our code.
Yep, it would require local law.
But I absolutely will share what I have already with the board. It's been a busy month with this issue. I just want you to know. So I've done a lot, but I also have not shared this last piece with you, but I will. I would like you to look, especially at the Lafayette one. If I get anything from Association of Towns that looks like it would be a good copy, I'll share it with Tim and with all of you, but I definitely think we should at least look at that. I have talked to at length to some extent with those involved with both Farm Days and the Tractor Pull, which are the two events that are coming up. And this would actually, if we put something in place, it would probably apply to the Pompey Hill Firemen's Field Days, depending on their size. But I've talked to them. I've talked about it in terms of you're better off having it be success. These are new events. Have them be successful from the start, and involve to communicate with your community and your neighborhood and provide information, and you'll set yourself up so that you're not going to have people protesting greatly after the event about things that they didn't like. So I think that seemed to be well received, but I also think it's a community discussion. I would not begin to talk and speak for everybody. So I guess I wonder if can we take this back up in January and see where everybody's at with it? It's as far as considering whether or not the town wants to have any control over events, because that's really what this is about, is events. I know I had one person reach out to me and talk about it. Well, the planning board, they were able to do this and limit that. And I said, yeah, but that's about property. That's about what somebody wants to build on their property or do with their property. And they need to have site plans and inspections. But when you're talking about events, it's a different ballgame. And the town really has not been the driving force behind either one of these events at all. We've sort of come in after the planning's already been underway. So, but we've also, as you would expect, have had community members reach out to us about it. Both sides, both ways, both supportive and concerned. So January and see where we're at that point. How's that sound?
That's the way to go.
Okay. All right. I think we're at public comment, and I'm not sure, 'cause I don't know if Veronica, I think what I want to just say, if you want to on anything, you need to give us your name. You need to identify yourself is the point. I'm realizing with Facebook, sometimes people have Facebook names, and that's not going to fly. If you want to be heard, you have to identify yourself. It's the same as being anonymous if we don't know who you are because of a name you have on social media. So please identify yourself and at least the street you live on in the town, and then your comments in the order that whether they're in written form in the question and answer of the chat room, you can put them. Or if you want to be unmuted, that's also an option. So you just need to let us know in the chat room. So Veronica, I'm basically going to turn this over to you.
Yep. I just have a couple of chat comments, and you guys can also read these in the chat box if you want. Just Greg Hurley is asking, as someone who's interested in perhaps building something similar on one of my farm properties, could I suggest that you have an attorney from New York State Ag and Markets participate in a joint meeting of the town board and the planning board to clarify the legality of these situations for all of us now and in the future? That's all the comments I have right now.
Okay, is there anybody that wants to unmute?
Oh, looks like I do have some people. I have 3 people. One is Dan Palladino, Stan Gorman, and someone by the last name of Hofler, I think. I'm wondering if I should let Dan go first, or does it matter?
I think we should take them in the order that they.
Oh, now I have 4. I don't know who went first.
Oh, you can't tell.
I don't think I can tell. Oh, Dan says he'll go last. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to go top to bottom on my list. So the first one is Hofler, and if he could just say his first and last name. And did you want them to say their address?
They don't need to give a street number, but if they could say what road they live on.
Okay. Okay. So whoever Hofler is, go ahead. You can talk.
This is Joanne Heffler.
Heffler. I'm sorry, I wasn't saying your name right.
Joanne Heffler. I border Palladino's property on Route 91. I represent 3 Heffler families. We share 2,000 feet of the 3,000 foot field that they're planning to have the farm days in. The farm days will be within a couple of 100 feet of our doorsteps. We are extremely concerned about 25,000 people being in this close to us, 400 vendors, 2,000 cars. It might take a couple of 3 weeks to set it up, break it down, lights, noise. We're concerned that this will devalue our properties. There's a loss of privacy. And we have met with Dan, had a good long meeting with him, made a suggestion that this event be moved on the other side of the road, away from the neighbors. There's probably another 10 houses on Pratt's Falls. Neighbors, I don't think know it, but they don't know the detail of this. I did a lot of research to find out how big the event would be. I visited with a few neighbors on Pratt's Falls and they had no idea. If people didn't see it in the news, they don't know how big this is going to be in our backyards. I have talked to Renee about this extensively. I am one of the concerned neighbors on the Concerned Neighbors group. And I have reached out to Dan recently in the past week to discuss it with him. He did not get back to me. I tried several times. And we are extremely concerned. And we know that there's all the good stuff about the whole event itself. We know it's going to be held. We just don't want it 200 feet from our doorsteps. I want you to imagine, I want you to close your eyes and imagine 25,000 people in your backyard, a couple of 100 feet from your doorstep. You know, it's going to take, I don't know, a week to set up. There's going to be lights there to protect the equipment. And it is very evasive to us. And we are hoping that Dan will consider moving this event across the road so that the neighbors are not affected by this mini state fairground in our backyards. That's it.
Thanks, Joanne.
Okay, Paul Livingston. Go ahead, Paul.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, I am probably Dan's nearest neighbor on Sweet Road, quarter of a mile away. And I would say that this farm days is a huge thing for everyone. I don't know where it could possibly get moved that it's not going to affect anyone. The other side of Sweet Road, which is a big field, there's houses back that way. And on 91, there's houses that way. I don't see how moving it is it's just gonna affect other people. I mean, I'm the closest person to this, to Heritage Hill. And I'm feeling like I'm just gonna have to tough it out until this is over. It's just so big for our town and our community. I'll just live with it.
Excited.
Does that make sense?
Yes, and thank you for commenting, Paul.
And if I might, one more thing, I guess, you know, as Dan being this close to me, you know, the way he runs his business, I don't know how he could do it any better. He keeps it quiet. He gets people out of there early every evening. And, you know, I can hear music at night, but it's not a big deal. And it's only if I'm outside. So I don't think that his business is evasive to me, who lives right down the street.
Again, thank you. Do you have anything else? I don't want to cut you.
I think that's it, unless you had a question. But
No, this is your turn. It's your time to talk.
I'm good.
Thank you.
Hang on one second. Joanne, did you want to talk again?
Yes, I wanted to say that we also voiced a concern to Dan about the potential of other events in the backyard. They're looking to put in electrical. And when we asked Dan to put in writing that he wouldn't have any other large events back there. He danced around it and would not put it in writing. So here again, we are concerned that once that infrastructure goes in, there's roads going in and lighting, that there could be something else that comes in the backyard. We've seen how big the brewery has grown to. I mean, it was supposed to be seating for 100 people, but he was only going to have 50. The barn's been redone. You know, events can be held there. He now can be open to 2:30. He's got a liquor license. The parking has expanded to either side of the buildings. Now there's floodlights up there that affect us. Everybody who drives in at night, all their lights are facing us. And although the brewery is 1,500 feet away from us, far less than a quarter of a mile, this event, again, is 200 feet from our doorsteps. This isn't a quarter of a mile from our homes. This is right in our backyards. And we are concerned that there will be other events like this. And here again, we have an issue with it. And if we don't do something now about it, and this happens, we have no leg to stand on going forward. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Veronica, can I just ask, it's nobody's fault. I'm not really good at setting rules for stuff, but if we can let other people speak before we have someone speak a second time, just to make sure.
Yeah, there wasn't anyone at the time.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought you had other people in there.
But now they're. Now I have one more.
And we still have Stan and Dan.
No, Stan went away for some reason.
He left.
His hand is no longer up. Okay. Dan M, if you could identify yourself, please.
Yeah, how are you doing? This is Dan McClung. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, first off, I'd like to thank you guys for putting in the time to investigate this. I know it's a lot of work, and it's probably a busy time of year. So thanks for putting the time in on this. It is really appreciated.
I don't mean to interrupt you. Would you just state where you live?
Oh yeah, I'm on Michael Ave. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So, I appreciate the focus on, in the talk about events and stuff. There's been concerns with noise, even prior to events, and I appreciate the fact that not everybody's impacted by it, but a pretty substantial number of people are, and I just want to make sure that we're kind of focusing on the issues, which is really impact to the neighbors. So I'm not sure that having an event permit, which, as you said, is really just checking a box, addresses the impact. And I don't think anybody's really looking at harming agricultural business or anything like that. It's just I think you hit the nail on the head. What is an agricultural business? And is a concert venue an agricultural business? And that's the crux of the issue. It's we're not talking farming now. We're talking concerts. We're talking floodlights. We're talking PA systems.
Concerts? Are you talking about the bands? I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm just curious.
Yeah. There's been drive-in concerts, that went fairly late. There's been bands that have played music quite loud. I've got sound pressure readings on some of these things on our property, which is over a half mile away, and it's well into the level of intrusive on the EPA scale. So, and this is during COVID, when there's restricted attendance. I mean, this problem's been going on for a while now. So, that's kind of where I'm coming from. I just want to make sure that my hope is that we could kind of sit down and figure this out amicably. I mean, that's been my ask, right? I've talked to Dan a couple of times about this as well. And, then, some other neighbors expressed concerns, and this has kind of moved up. But, I'm still optimistic that we can just sit down and come up with something that works for everybody. I mean, I don't want to harm Dan's business. you know, but I want to be able to sit on my deck and have dinner, you know, without having music rolling across the hills. It really has changed the character of this town, you know, in my opinion. So anyway, thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay, I have the Gormans back now. Okay, Linda Gorman, go ahead. Can you unmute? There you go.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead. Linda?
The struggles of technology. I thought I heard him. Oh, there's Stan.
You need to unmute, Stan, on your end. There you go. Go ahead. Yep.
Sorry.
We can hear you.
Okay. Our comments are totally unrelated to Farm Day, so I don't know if there's anybody else that would prefer to talk, or we're it, or.
Just go ahead.
All
I
right.
think it's fine. Stan, just identify yourself and then your address, just your street.
Stan and Linda Gorman, 7th Road. We live right underneath the tower, next to the Tower Overlay District, and those where our concerns lie. We addressed the board long before the election, and I know there was a lot that was said and done, and we were told to kind of put it after the election, and then COVID hit. So we're getting back into some of our concerns, some of our issues. One is obviously the Tower District and what is up there, and the radio frequency that it is all giving off. Probably second is I can say for certainty that the Verizon tower has probably put an excess of another 10 antennas up there from where we were a number of years ago. I know they're moving to 5G, and they're going to have to increase their capacity. I don't know what that entails. I'm not an engineer. We're not engineers, but obviously there's concerns there. And then probably one of our biggest concerns is if you've ever watched Channel 9 News, now they can go to their view from Pompey. There is a camera up on Channel 9 Tower that when they go to their view of Pompey, you're looking in our backyard, in our back window. And so the entire viewing area of Central New York gets to look at our house and all of that. So we don't know when all of this transpired, whether the town was contacted for any of these changes moving forward. I think it's something that the town should be aware of. If Verizon is going to 5G and they're putting these things up, I mean, can the town benefit in some manner of taxation? I don't know what the tower and Verizon is being assessed or what they're paying in taxes and stuff like that. So the Gorman's concern aside, this might be some sort of revenue source for the town itself. Our concerns personally just relate to the number of towers, the radio frequency that it's giving off, and now having a camera in our backyard. Thank you. And David, nice to have you on board for our little town meeting.
And I just full disclosure to those on this call or this meeting. I did speak with Stan this morning. I think it was this morning about this issue. Stan, one of the things I thought of after we got off the phone was perhaps a call to Channel 9 might get that camera focused in a different way so that they're not invading your privacy. But that's probably, so if that, I mean, that's a thought I had, or if you want the town to weigh in and with Channel 9, we could do that as well. Since we talked, I've looked into the assessment situation, because perhaps these towers are being underassessed if they're adding antennas and frequency and other things that would enhance the value of those towers. The town should benefit from that. And in days of, excuse me, looking for revenue, that might be one place we could look. So we are looking into that. And I have talked to Larry Fitz about that, our town assessor. And there was another thing I was going to mention. Oh, I did look into the whole testing, and there was supposed to be, I think, on a periodic basis, and I think, Ann, you recall this, every 2 years or something, that there was supposed to be radio frequency testing of the towers, and I don't believe that's occurred in the way it should have. I think last year, because funds were limited, there was an abbreviated study done, but it wasn't the one that I think was expected to be done every 2 years. Talked to Bob Rodriguez. If Verizon or anybody else with the towers that has a tower over there, or on Indian Hill Road for that matter, has come to him seeking permission for additional antennas. And Bob, I could let you speak to whether, like, it's the difference between putting up something new versus replacing something that's there. But you got to unmute to say anything. But I mean, it doesn't matter. You don't need to. But I'm just saying, I see that there have been some things done, and I want it looked into, and we'll look into this more. I know it was a big issue last fall, if I recall, with town board meetings. You're right. COVID sort of really restricts a lot of things that we would otherwise be doing, and this is one of them. So it will be looked into.
Am I still on or?
Yes, you are.
I can't tell because I'm talking to my.
Yes.
The concern, I know a lot of this was done under the guise of routine maintenance, but there was an inventory done. I think I still have that the town had done. It's got to be going back 10 or 15 years. And it shows the Verizon tower with, a handful of whatever their panels are. And I'm assuming those are antennas. Again, my assumption could be wrong. And now if you drive by it, got to be in excess of maybe 15 panels on that tower. And I'm assuming that's the 5G that they keep talking about and advertising about. And, I mean, if they're making money, then the town should benefit from this as well. I mean, and then obviously what are they giving off? And I think I shared with you as well, one of the towers now has a sign here that their tower is for sale. There's just it's almost like one of the little political signs, tower for sale, and there's a number. And we looked into it. I think Ann Christmas can attest to this. It was a fax number. It's owned by somebody, but I don't know what's going on there either.
That's across the road, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I just think, I mean, it's if you're looking into the permitting and I mean, if you're looking into now a solar farm and an overlay district there, it might be a good time to really readdress what's going on up here. I know I've been involved with this for in excess of 20 years. My wife's been involved with it longer than I have. And I just think that when we got involved 20 years ago, we hired our own attorneys and kind of educated the town that they do a lot of rights and some measure of control up there. And I just want to make sure that is addressed and looked into.
Great. One of the things I did after you and I talked this afternoon, I made a phone call, and we are in the process of putting up an AT&T tower through the state, and they are required permitting. And I asked the person that's handling that, maintenance work, they do not need a permit for anything. If If it's just, routine maintenance, permits are not required. Additional upgrade, things like that, they are required. And that's through the state level.
And you're talking about your day job when you say you called about it, you're putting up a tower. Like, I don't want people to think there's another tower going up somewhere in Pompey that they don't know about.
No, this is in Morrisville.
Yeah, okay. Just being
So,
clear.
But they are, the state does have to issue a permit for that, for them to put that up on the state, on our property, on the state property. But it's a state contract. So
we will need to look into this, figure out what Verizon is doing, if it's a different tower that's on, or Channel 9 or whoever, but thanks for bringing the issue back to the table, Stan.
Well, I appreciate you guys listening, and then I would be happy to reach out to Channel 9, but if you guys would do the same, I would greatly appreciate it.
Okay. Will do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There's one more comment by chat from James Loomis, on number 4 road. This is in regards to farm days, I think. Maybe a type of barrier to help lessen the noise or lighting for the neighbors. Heritage Hill has been a great blessing for Pompey and the community. These events will be great opportunities for local groups and charities to raise money to help local programs and people. And I think the last person we have is Dan Palladino.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi. Thanks for the opportunity. Start off with, I think the town permit thing is a great idea, honestly. You all know I plan my events to the letter for that stuff. I think I already provided you the details. Porta Johns, Sheriff's Control, everything like that. So I'm all for that and supportive of that if you implement that, and I'll do it ahead of time. And I think you pretty much already have that information, at least by about the farm days. I hate back and forths, but I do have to go back on the 2 previous comments. Some facts. Paul Livingston and Judy Livingston bought the house I grew up on. It's 500 feet exactly from the farm because my cows go all around it. My pasture surrounds their house. I walked it every day as a kid. It's the closest neighbor that I have. Another neighbor, the Klingbells, Arlene, they're even closer. So they are my 2 closest neighbors. And I plan on, now that this is 2 months in a row, I plan on getting letters from all of them, the Zerbrigs, the Danuses, all the people that are just as close as anybody else that's spoken up and closer to all the favorable comments that they've given me. But, I'm a little disappointed because, Mr. McClurk speaks of, we just wanted to be amicable. And, I've always been more than amicable with him. Especially Joanne. I mean, to me, it's very sad, this back and forth with the Hoflers, because their brother Joe flies an ultralight, and I have him take off. I tell him, you can take off on my farm anytime, and buzzes the farm and the engine and the noise, and it's great. And I think it's awesome, and it's great for the community. They had 4th of July, used to have a 4th of July party. I'd sit out in my back deck and watch the fireworks. Never to complain about it, never to say anything. And to say that I didn't inform any of my neighbors about the farm days, at the risk of it getting out publicly, I went out with a letter to every single neighbor in my block. And I even went over to Henneberry Road, and just to make sure, and it said, just please, this is confidential, but this is something we're looking at doing. This is the basic impact. We had it before. This is where we're going to have it. I even put a map in the Hofler's mailbox of where it was going to be. And everything. So I've always been forthright in my communications, to the point of even being at risk of losing the deal because of it. I sat down, they asked me to come down and meet with them in their house. I said yes for an hour and a half. And they asked me to record it on their phone. And I said, fine, you can record it on your phone. And trying to get me to say that I would sign, that I would do this. I said, no, I'm not going to sign anything because I don't have to. The New York Agricultural Land Trust owns the conservation easement to my property. Everything I do is under Ag and Markets. Ag and Markets Law 301, Section 11. The departments concluded that on-farm wedding receptions, parties, special events, including charitable events held at farms which market their crops as wine, beer, cider, and distilled spirits, help market the farm's operations product. That's Section 301.11 of Ag and Markets Law. I am a farm. I understand that some people don't believe that that's a farm, but New York State recognizes this as a farm operation. And they did it because we would have lost our farms if we didn't allow agritourism into our communities. And so then, okay, so I have these rights and I have this business, I have a brewery, but I didn't turn it into a bar. Anybody that comes here knows it's a family-oriented place. Trying to not be impactful in my neighbors and trying to make a place that my mom and you guys would be proud of. So I close at 9. At the latest, I had an event that went till 10 just because of dark, and it was that outdoor concert to benefit heroin addiction in Syracuse. It was a one-time thing. And then 4th of July went a little bit later. Can I dial those back a little bit? Sure, because at the end of the day, I want to have a place that every neighbor comes to. But Joanne, the Hoflers just do not want to have the Empire Farm Days. They don't want to compromise on it. They don't want to have the Empire Farm Days, or they want it to move across the street to be somebody else's problem. And they say it's in their backyard, but they built their houses right up to my property line to maximize the view. The road is forward of that. So yes, that's where it is. I even offered to, when we pull the soil off, to berm it behind their houses to eliminate some of the, their concerns. And they said, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to block the view. Okay, so we have to be reasonable here. I will always be reasonable with everybody. I'll communicate with you guys. I'll communicate with my neighbors. But Mr. McClurg just wants zero music. And even in my planning documents and in my rights under Ag and Market Law and in my operations, if you talk to just about everybody I talk to, I do it reasonably. If I found something that is loud, I had offered to Mr. McClurg to come up and ask the band to turn it down if it was bothering him, if the wind was blowing the wrong way. So at the end of the day, I'll do my best to be non-impactful while still having a business that the community can be proud of and the community will benefit from. I negotiated food and beverage, exclusive food and beverage rights on the farm days. I could have hogged that up and made money to the bank, but instead I'm going to go to all the community organizations, which I've already reached out to, so they can profit off of it. Okay. This is not, I could understand if I was a business that was just trying to pull every single thing to maximize my own profits. I'm trying to do as much as I can, particularly in a year in which we're decimated. We have nobody. I'm looking over at the dining room that's got nobody in it. I mean, to have to actually be sitting here defending this business for what it is, and a business that my mom's been proud of despite her fears of it going into it, is really hard for me to do. So personally, that's where it's at. I will always give my information up, but no, when it gets to this point, I will no longer meet with individual neighbors because I worry about the legality of things. I worry about taping of conversations. I worry about those types of things. I'll do it through you guys, or I'll give you the best communications and everything I can, but that's what I'll offer. And if you find that I'm violating codes, then I'll fix that or not do it or whatever, but I have to leave it at that at this point. So thank you for your time. I love Pompey. I love this whole thing. I love my neighbors. I hope that a few years from now, I'm having I talked with Stan Gorman even about it, having a community benefit after the farm days to thank everybody and just get everybody together. And hopefully someday in the future, everybody that talked today will be at that. And I'll do my best to make sure that happens.
Okay, thanks, Dan, for your input. I'm actually glad that Dave Knapp is on this call because I think it's informative for him to hear the two sides that are sort of at odds here. Veronica, anything else?
I think that's everything.
Okay. One thing I forgot.
Can I hop in real quick?
Yes, go right ahead. And then I wanted one thing that I forgot to mention, and then
Yeah, no, just real quick. This is for just in reply to with Stan Gorman. I texted Jeff Kulikowski at Channel 9, and I just know him pretty well. And he put me in he told me who to contact to talk about that camera. So I'll give them a call tomorrow and see what we can work out.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you. The last thing I wanted to mention, and Tom Purcell, you'll be interested in this. We had gotten a proposal for engineering costs on the salt barn repair that related to the bidding process. Correct, Tom Chartrand?
No, I believe it had some supervisory in it as well. Let me grab it back out.
And it was pretty, while you're doing that, I'll keep going. It was pretty costly. So that came up at our monthly check-in that we hold with the town officials. It was suggested by Tim to reach out to the county because the county does offer services free of charge to do your RFP work. So when I talked to Dave Knapp today, before I even finished my thoughts, he was like, send it to me. I'll get the purchasing department right on that. So apparently there is a way to have them do at least part of what was going to otherwise be a very costly engineering expense. And then in talking to Tom Purcell, it's my understanding, Tom, there really isn't anything structural that's at issue here with the salt barn. It's more.
That is correct. It's just a roof replacement.
Okay. And Tom.
Shingles, asphalt shingles.
Yeah, so the proposal you had had the design and construction documents, the bid phase service, and construction phase service, which means they're monitoring what's going on at the project, and that was all included in that proposal you received.
I thought when we talked on Monday, it was just the RFP work, but in any event, if we can farm that out or pull that out, I mean, but again, I just want to thank Dave. You are a valuable resource to me, and so I really appreciate the working relationship we have.
No, absolutely. No, my pleasure. Yeah, that's something we're trying to get the word out on more, that we've got the infrastructure in place to do it and help. So, no, glad to do it. And I'll get with you and Tom. And if we
sounds good.
The basic specs, we can take care of it.
Okay, so we can at least get rid of that piece of the cost.
I spoke with the purchasing director this afternoon. He's like, be happy to help. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Tim, for suggesting it.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
So I think that's it. And don't you all think are we done for the night?
Renee, Shaheen here.
Hi, John.
One more thing, you and I had discussed, I had thrown my hat into the ring to help with the energy benchmarking as far as putting the initial building data into a spreadsheet to perhaps help Tom out a bit so that he wasn't saddled with doing that. I'd be working with Amanda on that.
Yeah. I should have mentioned it when she was still on the call because she is definitely willing to help us with all of the, the nuts and bolts to make sure that we get moving on the clean energy community stuff. So, and I'm more than grateful that you're willing to jump in and help out too, John. So thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Sure. So I'll just work with Amanda on that then. Yes, but keep me in the loop. Just, I mean, I'm going to talk to her anyway, because I want to talk about the whole, I want to follow up with her in light of what we decided tonight. So. Okay.
That's fine.
All right. So I'll.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Yeah, I'll wait to hear from you or I'll touch base with you.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you all of you. I appreciate what everybody does so much. So I make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
Oh, I hear Judy and Carl seconding it. Aye.
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 Aye, okay, opposed, motion carried. Good night, all of you. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Renee, will you leave the vouchers in the meeting room for me so I can grab them in the morning?
Yes. Will do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.